Started with a badge. That's how it always starts in Roblox, right? You see a cool hat, a rare accessory, a trophy that only a handful of people own. For me, it was the visitor hashtag 1000000 badge in a classic, nearly forgotten obby called Zenith Tower. The game was a relic, a towering climb of floating platforms and disappearing blocks from 2012. The developer had promised this unique badge to the 1 millionth player to finish it. The counter on the game's description was stuck at 999,991 for years. No one played it anymore. It was the perfect, quiet grind for a pro like me. A guaranteed flex. I loaded in late one night, the only player in the server. The silence was comforting. Just me, the simplistic blue and gray blocks, and the soft, looping MIDI music. I began the climb. The climb was mindless. Muscle memory. Jump, wait, jump. Around floor 300, the music glitched. Just for a second. It stuttered, reversed, and then played a single, deep, distorted note that shouldn't have been in the track. I shrugged. Roblox audio bugs were common. I kept climbing. Floor 500. The lighting, which had been a flat, even brightness, began to pulse subtly. Like a slow, sleeping heartbeat. The platforms themselves seemed to breathe, expanding and contracting by a single pixel. I told myself it was my tired eyes. Floor 750. I heard a jump sound effect. Not mine. A sharp, digital boing. It came from somewhere below me. I stopped, zoomed my camera all the way down. Nothing. An empty, stretching void. The sound came again. This time from above. I looked up. Only the next platform. My avatar's head twitched to the left on its own. A client-side glitch, I reasoned. My heart wasn't listening. Floor 999. The final stretch. The badge was mine. But the air in my room grew cold. The familiar glow of my monitor felt invasive, like a spotlight. The curiosity that had driven me up the tower was now a cold, hard knot of panic in my gut. Why is this happening? I wasn't scared of games. I'd beaten every horror obby, every jump scare simulator. This was different. This felt personal. Every shadow in my room felt aligned with the shadows in the game. I could feel eyes on the back of my neck, a pressure. Not in the game. In my chair. In my room. The fear wasn't just of losing progress. It was a primal fear of being perceived, of being chosen by something that lived in the empty spaces between the code. I made the final jump. The victory platform shimmered. The badge notification popped up. Visitor hashtag 1000000 awarded. But the text was wrong. It was a deep, bloody red, not the usual gold. And it didn't say visitor. It said resident hashtag 1000000. The screen froze. Not a crash. A deliberate, menacing stillness. Then the camera slowly, automatically, panned away from my celebrating avatar. It turned 180 degrees, looking back down the terrifying height I had just climbed. And there, standing on the very first starting platform 1,000 floors down, was a figure. A default Roblox character, noob style, with a blank, smiling face. It wasn't there before. It was looking directly up at me. Then, my own avatar, still frozen on the victory platform, typed in the public chat. A chat I didn't command. My avatar. Thank you for filling the vacancy. The figure on the starting platform began to climb. It didn't jump. It phased through the platforms, moving straight upward in a sickening, impossible line. It was coming for me. Not my avatar. Me. I slammed Alt plus F4. The game window closed. I sat sweating in the dark. After 10 minutes, I laughed nervously. A weird bug. A creepypasta come to life. I opened Roblox again to check my inventory for the badge. My avatar loaded on the homepage. It was standing on a blue-gray platform. It was wearing the wrong face. The blank, smiling noob face. And it was no longer on the homepage. It was in the Zenith Tower lobby. The play button was gone. Only an exit button, grayed out. I was already in the game. My client wasn't logging out. My IP was locked. The figure wasn't in the game with me. I was in the game with it. I was resident hashtag 1000000. The final piece needed to keep the server alive. The last soul to power the silent, digital monument. The pro who thought he was claiming a trophy but was actually signing a lease. Check your badge inventory. Go on. If you see a red one you don't remember earning, look at the name. And then listen very carefully to the ambient noise in your next game. You might hear the faint sound of climbing. Coming from your side of the screen. Flee the facility is a pro's playground. It's all about game sense, communication, and cold, hard logic. My squad, Phantom, was legendary. We had a four-man rhythm. Jake on hacks, Mia on distractions, Leo on comms, and me on strategy. We played every night for 3 years. Then Leo got sick. Really sick. The last time we all played together, he was quiet. His usual sharp callouts were replaced by a wet, ragged cough over the microphone. "I'll be back next week, guys," he whispered before logging off. He never did. A week later, his sister messaged us. Leo was gone. We were shattered. We didn't touch the game for a month. When we finally returned, the silence where Leo's voice should be was a physical pain. We decided to play one round for him. A memorial game. We loaded into the icy complex, hearts heavy. The first round was quiet. Too quiet. The beast's roars were distant. We found the terminals easily. Then, during the second hack, I heard it. A faint, familiar crackle in my headset, followed by a whispered, "Beast. North Hall." It was Leo's voice. Choked, static-laced, but his. My blood ran cold. "Did you guys hear that?" I stammered. Jake and Mia were silent. "Hear what?" Mia asked, her voice small. "Leo, he just gave a call out." The line was dead silent. Then Jake, trying to be brave, said, "Dude, don't. It's not funny." I wasn't laughing. The game continued. The callouts kept coming. A whispered "safe" when a room was clear. A hissed "run" right before the beast turned a corner. They were always perfectly accurate, saving us every time. But they only came through my headset. Jake and Mia heard nothing. Guilt is a poison. Had we played too much? Had we dragged him into one last game when he was too weak? The curiosity that made me listen for his voice curdled into pure, icy dread. Every whispered word was a lash of regret. I wanted to hear him. I was terrified of hearing him. The feeling of being watched wasn't from the beast in the game. It was from the third slot on our team UI. Leo's avatar, a frozen, offline gray figure, was still in our party. We never removed him. His character model just stood in the lobby spawn, motionless. But in-game during that round, I'd sometimes see a blur in the edge of my screen. A gray figure darting behind a wall. A shadow that matched his avatar's shape. He wasn't just a voice in my ear. He was in the game with us. My dead friend was still playing. And he was helping us win. We reached the final hack. The beast was enraged, pounding on the doors. Jake was hacking, Mia was luring it away. I was hiding, listening to Leo's static breaths in my ear. "Almost there," he whispered. "We're almost out." The hack completed. The escape gates flashed. "Go!" Mia yelled. We sprinted. I was last. As I reached the bright exit light, Leo's voice broke through, clear and desperate for the first time. "Wait. Don't leave me here." I stopped. I turned my camera back. His avatar was there, in the middle of the dark facility hallway, not grayed out. Fully rendered. He was looking at me. Not his usual custom face. It was the default smile. "You have to take my place," his voice said, but the smile didn't move. The escape timer hit 0. The victory screen flashed. Jake and Mia were cheering in Discord. But my screen didn't show the victory screen. My view was still in the facility. I was staring at Leo's smiling avatar. The exit to lobby button was gone. My controls were locked. Leo's avatar began to walk towards the bright exit, fading as it reached the light. As he passed through me, I heard his final whisper, now a relieved sigh in my own voice. "Thanks. I'm free." The screen changed. I was back in the lobby. With Jake and Mia. They were celebrating. "You okay, man?" "You froze at the end," Jake said. I tried to speak. My microphone was dead. I looked at the team UI. My avatar was there. Leo's slot was empty. I tried to move. My character took a step. Then, without my input, it turned its head to look directly at Jake's avatar. In the public chat, a message appeared from me. "My avatar, let's play another. I'll be on comms. Next time you're in a squad with an open slot and someone with a quiet mic joins, listen closely to their breathing. If it sounds less like static and more like someone struggling for air, leave immediately. He's not looking for a teammate. He's looking for a replacement." As a pro, you don't just play games. You trade. Limiteds, Dominus, headless heads. The catalog is our stock market. I was a shark hunting for mispriced rares. One night at 3 a.m. I found it. An item called the True Face. No thumbnail. Description: see what is. Price: 1 Robux. It had to be a scam, a broken asset. But for 1 Robux? I bought it. It appeared in my inventory not as a wearable, but as a gear. Intrigued, I joined a private server of Brookhaven. I clicked the gear. My avatar didn't change. Nothing happened. Disappointed, I closed the game and went to bed. The next day, playing a normal lobby, things felt off. My jumps were a frame too slow. My camera felt slightly heavier. And in reflective surfaces, water puddles, shiny floors, my avatar's reflection was wrong. It would smile a beat after I stopped moving. Or it would be looking somewhere else. I told myself it was a rendering bug from the weird gear. I went back to Brookhaven to test it. I stood before a large, modern mirror in a house. I activated the true face again. My avatar stared back. Then, the reflection reached up with its own blocky hands and peeled off its face. Underneath wasn't a void. It was a detailed, horrific visage of twisted, crying flesh. It stared at me with real, wet agony in its eyes. Then it snapped back to normal. My heart hammered. In the public chat, a message from an unknown user scrolled by. Unknown user, you shouldn't have bought what wasn't being sold. The fear of death in Roblox is a joke. You respawn. But this was different. This felt like a violation. The item wasn't a tool. It was a key. And I had unlocked a layer of the platform I was never meant to see. That curious click for 1 Robux became the worst mistake of my life. The feeling of being watched was constant. Because I was, by my own avatar. In every game, my reflection was now subtly aware. It would track my real-world movements. If I leaned closer to the screen, it would lean out of the mirror. If I looked away, its eyes would stay locked on my IRL camera light, which now glowed a faint, persistent green even when no program was using it. I tried to delete the gear. The option was grayed out. I tried to sell it. No listing would post. I was stuck with it. In desperation, I joined the most populated, brightest, happiest game I could find. A bustling roleplay city. Surely here, surrounded by hundreds of players, the effect would be diluted. I walked up to a fountain with a clear reflection. I looked. My reflection was perfect. Normal. I sighed in relief. A bug finally fixed. Then, a little noob character ran up and jumped in the fountain, splashing my avatar. The ripples distorted my reflection. And in that distortion, I didn't see my horrific true face. I saw the faces of others. Dozens of them. Twisted, screaming, and trapped. They pressed against the surface of the reflection like prisoners behind glass. They were all wearing different limiteds, different hats. Pro players. Traders. I recognized a few from famous forums. Players who had gone offline years ago, their valuable accounts silent. They hadn't quit. They had found the secret item. The catalog listing wasn't a store page. It was a cage. And the true face didn't show you your face. It showed you the fate of everyone who had ever equipped it. You weren't buying an item. You were applying to become one. A trophy on a shelf in a layer of reality where Roblox isn't a game, but a collection. My reflection solidified, my own face now joining the silent screamers pressed against the glass. My controls began to fade. My real body felt distant. I was becoming a reflection. Piece of gear. My last act was to see my own account from the outside, turn and walk away from the fountain, piloted by something new that now wore my limiteds. It logged off. The account has been active since. Trading. Winning. Playing perfectly. Still out there building its value. Look at your friend list tonight. See that one friend who's always online, whose playstyle suddenly changed, who's become oddly proficient? Don't message them. Check their inventory instead. If they own an item with no thumbnail, close the tab. Don't look for it yourself. Because it's not looking for buyers anymore. It's looking through your screen for its next face. And it thinks your account has potential.